Hi, my name is Michaela, and I'm here to just talk about four topics that I learned here in Texas, more specifically in my district, that are challenges. And so I wanted to key in on principal turnover and leadership sustainability, chronic absenteeism and student engagement, budget constraints and resource allocation, and navigating political and cultural pressures. So principal turnover, we know it creates instability, it lowers the teacher morale, and it leads to dips in students' performance. Um, and we all know that replacing that principal is not cheap. So when I was researching, I learned that in our district, it can cost well over $75,000 to replace one principal on a campus. And that's already a big hit with our climate in education today and with our budgets and all of that. So I think one way to tackle this and to lower the turnover and increase leadership sustainability is to have a mentoring program that kind of bridges that gap between a new principal and an experienced principal, so they can kind of take them under their wing. They can, network with other local organizations and community partners that can support them as well. They have someone to help them transition. They can ask questions, take ideas from, create new things with. And so, in doing that, when these schools have that consistent, stable leadership, it sets the tone for just a healthy culture, a healthy ethos on your campus, strong relationships, and then long term success. And so that is what every school strives for. And they do that because striving for that, it just allows the students to thrive. It allows the staff and faculty members to thrive, and it just creates a solid foundation. The next topic I wanted to address was chronic absenteeism and student engagement. So there was an article by Evie Bladd in Education Weekly, and she identified chronic absenteeism as missing at least 10% of school days, instructional days. And this is one of those challenges that just quietly chips away at student success. It can kind of go under the rug. And it can cause kids to get held back. It can lead to higher dropout rates if it's not addressed. In my district, making sure that every student shows up and feels like they belong on campus is a big part of creating that equitable access to learning. I continued my research and found an article on LinkedIn, and it was basically talking about how there's a campus, they're building a garden. They allow the students to run the garden, and the community has access to that. So it kind of creates that responsibility on the students. It lets them feel important. It gives them a reason to come to school. It keeps them engaged. And it's also bridging that gap. And so, in doing so, their absenteeism declined while their engagement increased. So, that was just a good strategy that I found. And it can help decrease our issue at hand, which is chronic absenteeism. And then we also have in my district another tool. It's called RAWE, and it's just a system that helps schools track attendance in real time, and it challenges us and makes us step in early when patterns start to show. And so we're able to reach out to those parents, reach out to students, kind of figure out what's going on and how we can help. And so it's just that allows us to build those strong relationships with family, keep that communication open, and it helps us create that school environment that kids want to actually be a part of, feel like they matter. When students come to school consistently, they're a lot more likely to thrive, as we all know, and that brings us a lot closer to our vision of a school where every child has a chance to succeed. Our third thing that I found in my research that we struggle with is budget constraints and resource allocation. So we know that these budget shortfalls are just hitting everybody, especially here in North Texas. And schools like we have in my district are feeling a lot of pressure heading into this next school year. So when these budgets are tight, it becomes very hard to keep the key programs on campus, staffing, resources in place, and things that help students succeed. That's why it's so important to be intentional about where all of our money goes. So prioritizing the spending based on what matters the most, looking for alternative ways for funding, and finding smart ways to cut costs. Those can all help keep things on our campuses running. Being open and transparent with staff and families about the budgeting decisions that we make builds that trust, and it helps everyone feel like they're a part of the solution. Teaming up with local businesses, nonprofits, and community groups can open those doors to new funding as well and support for our campuses. So when we manage all of these resources well, we protect everything that really matters on our campus, which is a quality education, a thriving school community, and student academic success. The fourth thing that I wanted to talk about was navigating political and cultural pressures. So schools today are really having to navigate intense pressures coming from the political and cultural side. So we all know about the book bans and the debates that are going on about gender identity policies, and it's just a lot. And so it can quickly create tension in our school community that we're striving to have. So as principals, we're always caught in the middle. And so just trying to balance the district expectations with parents' concerns, with what the students want and what's best for them is a hard thing to tackle. So the key is leading with empathy, I think, and clarity. And transparency. So that means just, creating a space for respectful conversations, making sure that all of the policies are inclusive and well thought out. Supporting staff with appropriate training to handle these tough topics, and just building those relationships with families and community members also helps. So when people feel heard, they're more likely to work together. And at the end of the day, it's just about creating a safe, respectful environment where every student feels seen and supported, and that's what brings our mission and our values into play daily. So overall, just leading with that intention is just being thoughtful, being proactive while we tackle all of these challenges that come with being a school leader. There was another article by Grand Canyon that it was titled Character Education Framework for Purposeful Cultures of Character. And so it just talks about how you basically have to tackle your own character as an administrator. And it can help you create those desired outcomes and enhanced results for the campus, safety, community, and engagement. And they focused on individual learning, serving with character, and leading with character. And it just gives strategies and tips on how to lead intentionally, with clarity and effectiveness, to tackle all of these challenges while you're promoting that human development and for everybody on campus. So we know it's not an easy task, but when you put all of these right systems in place, you stay connected to your community. You keep your school mission and vision at the front and center. When you're making these decisions, you'll see a real difference. So it's about just creating a school environment where both students and staff feel supported, safe, and ready to grow. So thank you so much, and I hope you took something from my video.